Welcome to Sports Scope, the most influential sports talk show in the nation.
What is today, the 19th?
Stay tuned for updates and great sports content.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sports Scope. I'm your host, Robert Butler, on this fifth day of October. We are right in the busiest sports month of the year. Got a great show with you tonight. Going to have gambling picks against the spread and my five best. That would be picks against the spread and or over and unders. We'll talk about that a little bit later. We'll talk about last week's games as well that I picked. Also, the Mets. The Mets had fired their general man. Well, no, he resigned. Excuse me. The Mets general manager got Billy Eppler has resigned, the highest payroll in the league, and I want to just reiterate on what I talked about over the summer with the Mets and the Yankees, for that matter. Getting back to the basics here, and Dick Butkus. Pickles. Dick Butkus passed away this afternoon. It was reported. 80-year-old linebacker, one of the greatest of all time. I'll give you my opinion on him as well. Let's go ahead and get our first and only break out of the way, and we'll hit the ground running here on SportsScope. I'll be back in 49 seconds. Hello, SportsScope followers. The program has seen tremendous growth since going 5 days a week. I just wanted to thank everybody for your cash contributions and sharing the program with friends and families. Just a reminder, if you want to contribute to the program, go to the Cash App, the cash sign, and SportsScope. There are other ways to contribute to the program listed at the bottom of the screen. If you want to advertise on the program, go to sports, that is sports with an S, another S, scope, SKOPE, at gmail.com, just like it's listed at the bottom of the screen. Thank you and enjoy the program. All righty then. Okay. Peter King, he's a longtime Sports Illustrated reporter for the NFL. And, he's done different MondayMorningQuarterback.com. He said that there is a chance, speaking of the Bears who play today, Bears have kind of been in the news. They haven't never done this before, but, Matt Eberflus has lost 13 straight. This would be number 14. I expect them to lose tonight against the Commanders. The point spread's anywhere from 6 to 6.5 points. They've got some injuries there on the back end, the Bears. It's at Washington Commanders there. But he's saying that there is a chance Eberflus could be fired either tomorrow or sometime next week before the next week's game. We don't know that for sure. It's just a guess, but I did want to say that. And like I said, again, I like the Commanders tonight. So anyways, to win that game, since we're talking about the Bears, Dick Butkus. He was obviously before my time. But, he played from 65 to 73. 9 seasons. Now, remember, this is back in the day where Jim Brown, the game, you could clothesline people, horse collar. It was a very dirty game back in them days. But, he was selected to All-Pro for 8 consecutive years. He's a Hall of Famer. And I look 2 websites here, Athlon Sports, and I want to say the other one may have been NFL, and NFL.com, but basically saying that he's anywhere from 3 to 5 all time. He's right there. You start naming names: Ray Lewis, Derek Thomas, Lawrence Taylor, Dick Butkus, Jack, was it Lambert Pickles that played for the Pittsburgh Steelers? Yeah, Jack Lambert for the Pittsburgh Steelers. These are some mean and nasty guys. My dad told me several stories about the 80-year-old back in his heyday, the great Dick Butkus. You say, hey, they feed them to Butkus and whatnot. And, my recollection of Butkus was later on helping out kids, high school kids, and there's been some series that followed some of these semi-reality shows where he was a guest on, and he seems like a really nice guy, kind of grumpy, but he seems like a really nice stand-up guy, Dick Butkus. But he wasn't that as a football player. He was a ferocious competitor. And you think about the Bears. I mean, Mike Singletary comes up. They had Roquan Smith, Brian Urlacher. The Bears who playing tonight, it's really kind of like the linebacker U. I mean, they are this linebacker really heavy type of organization. Some say that maybe they're too much defensive reliant and not enough quarterback reliant if you think about the Bears. But, thinking about guys just going back to the history of their defensive players, particularly linebackers. I mean, Butkus, he had a good personality. People see these Miller Lite commercials and stuff. And you've seen I think I seen one of him with John Madden on it. Very likable guy. Very likable guy. And usually linebackers are pretty freaking vocal because they got to call the defense, particularly the middle linebacker per se. When you think about guys like a Ray Lewis and whatnot, I'm out of Nashville. Tennessee, the Titans fans, I know he's not in the same category as a Butkus, but Keith Bulluck was like that. Usually they're often named captains and leaders on the team. Not as valuable now, per se, the way the game has evolved in more of a passing game. I would more want a tackle or an edge rusher instead of a linebacker. But, I mean, you want to have a good linebacker. But the thing about it is a lot of the linebackers now do play edge. Micah Parsons, I want to say, is listed as a linebacker. But we know he's a hybrid player. And myself and Carlos Madden New Yorker Chavez, speaking of that, we'll break down that 49er Cowboy game tomorrow, make our picks there. Because Cowboys seem to be pretty healthy on the offensive line. They could give the 49ers a run for their money there, even though I know that Trayvon Diggs is out there at the cornerback. But also Deebo Samuel's banged up for the 49ers. So, back to Butkus. So, man, rest in peace, buddy. They didn't give any kind of cause of death or anything, but it's unfortunate. 80 years old, Dick Butkus, one of the all-time greats. I know Roger Goodell said something about it and everything. Switching gears here. Okay, quick. It's October, folks. The playoffs are really in the thick of things. The Braves are going to be playing the Phillies this weekend. That's going to be a really good series. And I talked yesterday. I don't talk a lot of baseball. I don't know that much nowadays about it because of I stopped following it for years. It got too slow for me. Try to pick up a little bit on it the last year and a half or so since they've had new rules in baseball as far as the pitch clock and eliminating shift, the tempo of the game and whatnot. But the Mets fired their general manager today, this Billy Epler. He didn't fire him. He resigned. He had been there since 21. I mean, it's only a couple seasons there, right? So, but anyways, I was looking at their payroll. The Mets and Yankees, $343 million for the Mets. I mean, totally down the drain. Yankees, of course, they've got Cohen there, the very expensive, the very high spending owner there. And of course, the Yankees were second at 279, followed by San Diego. Now Texas is in it. These are payrolls here. Texas is fourth. Phillies, they're in it, of course. And Atlanta's 10th, and I want to say they got the best record in the major league. So anyways, as I mentioned this story over the summer, folks, I said that both of these teams, particularly the Mets, 39-year-old Max Scherzer, 40-year-old who's no longer on the team, Justin Verlander, who's went over to Houston somewhere. and they moved off. They've got to get back into the basics. You know, our pastor was talking about that. It was a guest pastor. He was talking about getting back in the basics of stuff, you know, and he actually talked about, he was doing a spiritual analogy, but he was talking about old school football. Vince Lombardi talking about getting back to when the team lost a very close championship game, getting back to the basic fundamentals, you know, of football. And then they went on to win multiple championships later. And the guy's name is on the trophy here. But anyways, basically what I'm trying to say is the Mets, like the Yankees, got to get back to building their farm system, building organically. The fans don't want to hear this. And because you got the money, you can go out and get the better scouts. You can go out and just be patient, like the Yankees were at one time. Mariano Rivera, Derek Jeter, for example. Those are homegrown guys, all right? I want to say, was it Pickles? Was it Darryl Strawberry, Doc Gooden? What are those homegrown guys for the 86 Mets? So get back to that. Take your time. Once you get those players up and running, once you get that foundation, that chemistry established in the organization, then you can go out and add a free agent here, add a Jason Giambi there, for example, A-Rod here. One of those type of players, a Johan Santana, somebody like that. I'm just naming former Mets and Yankee players. But don't try to build it outside in. Try to build it inside out. I talked about this for years about the players with most homegrown players of World Series champions, and quite frankly, most of the last 10 have had majority homegrown players. It takes a little patience, like the Guns N' Roses song said. Something that these big markets usually don't have a lot of. Due to sports radio and everything. But do you want to, and people say, well, the fans will go away. When you start winning, like Newt Rotmy said, former famous Notre Dame football coach, everybody loves a winner. People come back when you win, you know, they just come back. Even if you have a few kind of subpar years. So anyways, that is what I have to say about that. Okay. Like I said last week, I don't think I was going to get away from the daily fantasy thing. And I decided to go ahead and do that. That's why I'm not talking about it today. I think that daily fantasy, because I didn't do a draft team, it would be hard and much more time consuming for me to do that in this time frame that I have of the program. So I'm going to do my 5 best instead of 3. I did 3 last week. I'll give you my 5 best bets against the spread and or over and unders. Okay, you want to call it props or whatever. And then of course we'll pick the 5 biggest games in college in the NFL tomorrow, again with Carlos Mad New Yorker Chavez. But first, let's go over last week, folks. I was 3-0 last week. Talked about Jacksonville. Jacksonville were 3-point favorites. Carlos, yeah, thank you. Jacksonville, they were 3-point favorites in the UK, London, against Atlanta. And I talked about Jacksonville's experience. They are the most experienced, including Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence has already been to London. He's only been with the team a few years now. What is it, year 3 for Lawrence? But he's already been to London. No team has been to London more than Jacksonville. And it's a 5-hour difference it's 6 hours from Central Time. It's 5 hours from the Eastern Time Zone there. It's a big difference there. They're played at 9 a.m., was it 9:30 a.m. Eastern time, which puts it at around 3:30. Really throws the players off. But they've had the most experience. coming off a humiliating loss the week prior to this Houston Texans team. And of course, they end up winning 23-7 over the Atlanta Falcons. Okay. So, I had that one nailed. And by the way, keep that in mind. Bookmark that in your head, because Jacksonville has stayed over. They have stayed over in the UK, the home away from home, like Richard said the other day. And he was telling me that the owner's from that area. So I wonder how you work out concession stands. I guess it just goes to the Jacksonville ownership and the organization, the people who pay it in London or whatever. I don't know how that works out. I never did figure that out. But either way, got that win. Another one. Okay. Which one was it? Okay. Miami Buffalo. I predicted, folks, that would be a shootout. Now, a lot of the sharps here would say, I don't know about that. 53.5 points. This is a divisional game between Miami and Buffalo, because last year's September game in Miami between Miami and Buffalo, it was really hot down there. I remember the commentators talking about how hot it was, and I think it was like a 24-20. Miami upset Buffalo. They beat them, and it was under that 53.5. But my thing is, look, Miami the prior week, they scored 70 points. What Buffalo beat? They beat the Commanders 37-3, something of that nature. And, red hot, they blew out. Same type of score the week before that against the Las Vegas Raiders there. And, of course, we know Miami scored 34 against the Chargers on the road and put 70 on Denver, which everybody, Denver's just bad, defensively. They cut Randy Gregory. But I did hit the over, though. It was 68 points, folks. 68 points. And obviously the Bills getting the better of the Miami Dolphins there. So that is 2 for 2. Okay. And the Rams. The Rams outright win over the Colts. A lot of people were picking the Colts in that game. Because the Rams played on Monday night, and they played overtime. And like I said, although the Colts came back, they came storming back last week and pushed that game into overtime. I told you I thought that Stafford would take advantage, and Sean McVay would take advantage of that suspect secondary that the Colts have. And I think that they will find a way to hem in Anthony Richardson, who will make some mistakes because Richardson is still a rookie, folks. He's still a rookie. He's still learning. He made a lot of mistakes at Florida. Didn't have that many starts. He was kind of somewhat of a controversial pick in the first place. But remember, Richardson, I said this before. That's another one. This is another good scope, right? That I predicted that he reminded me so much of Jalen Hurts. And the owner saw that, and he saw Jalen Hurts. And he's got Shane Steichen, the Eagles offensive coordinator. He's like, man, we're going to do what they did. Plus, the Eagles played the Colts last year, and I think he was really impressed with the way Hurts played. Okay, Mad New Yorker says, Jets owner trying to move that team. Something, there has been talks about that. Jacksonville, believe it or not, I don't know what it is about Jacksonville, but their stadium. Now, Lawrence is playing there. They had a packed house when they played Tennessee for the division championship on that Saturday night back in January. But, there's a lot of games there. There's just a lot of empty seats. And, I've talked to some people out in the Jacksonville area. And, it just seems more like there's a guy at work from Tampa, but he's been to Jacksonville and everything. And he just said it's just more of a college football area. People still like college more. A lot of people, big Florida fans and, Miami and whatnot. And it's just not quite a pro town, even though they've had a team there since I don't know, before Tennessee Titans got a team. So we're talking almost 30 years that they had the expansion team, Jacksonville Jaguars there. So pretty interesting thing there. Maybe they will. I mean, I've read reports that maybe they're going to put a team in Germany or London, or put a whole division over there in the near future, just a whole division over there. But Jacksonville, they've got a lot of experience. And if you do not have any experience, I've seen good teams, folks, really good teams go to London and get humiliated because of the time and everything. Baltimore Ravens, I mean, dominant Baltimore was always good. It was Jacksonville. Jacksonville beat them like 41-3 or something like it. It was some ridiculous score there because Baltimore wasn't used to the all the logistics going over there to the UK and playing that game. Pickle says the Rams are playing good football. You know, the Rams, and I'm going to mention the Rams here in a minute because I'm going to give you my picks this week. That's going to be a good transition right there. The Rams, I just let me put this out here, folks, before I get too far ahead of myself. According to Pro Football Focus, Rams Cooper Kupp, keep that in mind, fantasy owners. Rams Cooper Kupp was a full participant at practice today. Yes, I said it. Rams Cooper Kupp was a full participant at the Rams practice today. He should be back on Sunday against the Eagles, the way Al Michaels would say, get your eagle on. This will be the first game of Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp together. You ain't going to believe this. And, you know, I've talked about the Rams before, that the Rams have $70 billion in dead cap money this year. And this could be the new model. This could be the new model to go for in NFL. Just put all the dead money on 1 year, trade away first-round picks. Once you feel like you've got the coach, forget about everything else. You feel like you've got the general manager and you've got the coach. By the way, here in Tennessee, I feel like Nashville's got that, Nashville fans. But once you feel like you've got that, go all in, get that quarterback right, and push that money off the 1 year. It's like a quick bankruptcy, right? And the Rams, folks, they're going to have $50 million in cap space next year. You know how much dead money they'll have? Less than $1 million, $700,000, which is better off than most teams. So they put it off 1 year. They, instead of divvying it out here and there, they've got every player. They drafted like 11 players, and all those players on the team, including Nacua. And you folks will not, this Puka Nacua guy, this rookie, okay, he is second in the NFL in yards and catches, only behind Justin Jefferson. Okay, let me make sure I got this right because I wrote this down. All right. Puka Nacua, he's second yards behind Jefferson, and check that. He leads the NFL, Pickles, with 39 catches, a rookie. If Stroud starts throwing some picks, this guy's going to win Rookie of the Year. But him and C.J. Stroud, who is not throwing any interceptions, he's a quarterback, he's more important. They're right there for Rookie of the Year. Who in the bleep? You couldn't put a preseason bet on Nacua. I think he's the second or third. He's a later round pick, fifth round pick or something like that. You could put a preseason pick on this guy. You could on Stroud, Bryce Young, Bijan Robertson with Atlanta, who's having a good season. All these guys have a pretty good season, actually. Peter Sonorski, Tennessee's tackle's he's the leading offensive lineman according to Pro Football Focus on Tennessee. And I'll talk about him here in a minute too. So you think about this. Let's talk about the Eagles and the Rams, all right? This week, the Rams are at home against Philadelphia. Both teams coming off overtime games. All right. The Rams, 4th in total yards. Eagles, 5th offensively. Eagles are 2nd against the run, but I was told you Stafford's got players to throw to on that dry track in LA. SoFi State. Now I'll say this: the Eagles, it's going to be another home game, and the Rams are used to it by now. They've been there for a few years. These real popular blue blood teams, the Steelers, the Eagles, the Cowboys, they're going to have more fans in SoFi than the Rams fans. That's a given. So this is going to be another home game for the Eagles. But remember, the Eagles, they've played really tight scores, high-scoring games, high-scoring overtime game to the Washington Commanders. Played the Monday night before that. A couple of weeks ago, high-scoring game, one-score game against the bad defensive Minnesota Vikings, okay? Like I said, Rams are 4th in total yards. They're better offensively, technically, than the Eagles are, all right? But the Eagles are 26th against the pass. The over and under in this game is 49.5, okay? So, I just mentioned the Rams. What's his name? Kyren Williams or whatever, running back for the Rams. He's having a good year. Good out of the backfield, best between the tackles here. Rams relatively healthy. Like I said, they got Cooper Kupp back on that fast track there. Then you throw in the best offensive line in football. On the other side, Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Nick Sirianni said they're trying to get Dallas Goedert more involved, get him back into it. And, of course, you got DeAndre Swift. All those guys I could see having big yardage days and big-time scoring. The Eagles' defense, think about it for a second. They were one score away from losing their opener to the god-awful Mac Jones in the Patriots team. So I do think – I don't know who's going to win this game. Maybe I'll make that call tomorrow. It's a 4.5-point favorite, but I do like the over 49.5. This is lower. These are two teams that are not in the same division. They both got really – so I could kind of see it going like the Super Bowl did. What was that, 41-38 or something like that? Or 38-35 between the Chiefs and and of course the Eagles in the last year's Super Bowl. So I do think that this will go over that 49.5. I could think both teams score 25 and hit 50. Absolutely. It feels like a 28-24, maybe 31-28, 31. It just feels like a very tight game. These guys are going to be spread out. They're not going to let Sean McVay and that offense, they're not going to let Jalen Carter just tee off on Matt Stafford. I mean, again, look what this defense gave up to players like Kirk Cousins and Sam Howell. That can kind of give you an idea of what you're looking at come Sunday. So, yeah, over 49.5. I do like this game to hit the over. Pickle says Coop in the slot would be a nightmare. Yeah. So Stafford and McVay, they're going to have a field day with these two guys, even if Cooper Kupp is a decoy. Now, if he's practicing fully, I have a sense that they were probably just being careful with Kupp because they didn't know what they had this year, and they didn't really care if they lost a lot of games or not. That was my sense. I just told you the Rams are $70 million in dead cap. And everybody they drafted and made the team because they need bodies, and they've hit pretty good. So, the general manager there has done a good job there. They really done really well, though. So I definitely think this is going to be a fun game. It's going to be over. It's going to be the home away from home from the Eagles, but it's not going to be a cakewalk for the Eagles. This is going to really favor – this fast track is really going to favor the Rams. Actually, the Eagles may have nightmares of giving up big points here, giving up big points like they did in the Super Bowl to Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. Yeah, and I just wrote down, 34-31 or vice versa. So, alrighty then. Let me go to part 2. I'm out of Nashville, folks. The Tennessee Titans, the one last week, 27-3. Best game plan of the season between Tim Kelly and Mike Vrabel there, getting Derrick Henry in space like that, really doing a good job. I think they only gave up 1 sack, the offensive line, the counters, the realignment of the line. Well, guess what? Now they have Nicholas Petit-Frere back from suspension. So, Detroit Lions fans, you're excited. You got Jameis Williams back, your wide receiver. But Fareed, who's been playing some left, they put him back to right. Either way, he's been a full participant back on the offensive line. And I mentioned the Titans rookie sensation, Peter Skoronski, had his appendix ruptured, folks. Yes, Skoronski had his appendix ruptured. He's back full practice all week. So this is the best the offensive line has looked for the Tennessee Titans all season long. All season long. Going against this Colts team. By the way, they were actually 1.5-point underdogs on Monday. They were 1.5-point underdogs on Monday to the Indianapolis Colts, and a lot of sharks jumped on that, took Tennessee. Tennessee has beat the Colts 4 straight, by the way. 4 straight. And they split back in 2020. So they're pretty confident. Remember, the Colts played the overtime game last week. You got Anthony Richardson. You're going against a rookie there. They're going to catch Tennessee off guard some. And Tennessee, one of the better run defenses in the league, one of the more savvy defenses in the league, not going to fall. They'll probably get beat a couple times downfield. That's their weakness, and that really is Richardson's weakness. He's still not an elite passer yet, but he's done better than I thought he would do. He's done better than I thought he would. But I do expect Tennessee. Now they're 2.5-point favorites. That's still pretty good. I expect Tennessee to win this game 27-20 as one of my picks here. Yeah, 27-20. Tennessee wins, and they prepare for their trip to London against the Ravens, who will play the Steelers this week. And by the way, Kenny Pickett will be back. Apparently it wasn't a big deal. I mean, young guy healed up quick. He's been a full participant this week as well for the Steelers. So, but yeah, going back, Tennessee, like them get their 5th in a row, pending a bunch of sloppy turnovers and maybe not looking ahead. I definitely like that one. You could see why a lot of the gamblers, they jumped right on that, Tennessee being a 1.5 underdog. And I thought that was crazy. Yeah, I don't know what's up with these books. I want to say that they had the Rams as an early underdog as well. Had the Rams as an early underdog. See, that secondary, their pass rush is just okay. The Colts got a decent offensive line. They will have Jonathan Taylor back. So, I mean, they have a shot to beat Tennessee if Tennessee's looking ahead. But Tennessee, they kept this guy in check, man. I mean, maybe they can get Tennessee in the flat on some plays here. But I think Tennessee's very healthy. Healthy as they've been in a long time. I don't know if Burks is going to be back, but they're going to have Cal Phillips back at wide receiver. Obviously, you got Hopkins out there, Westbrook, Akanu at tight end. So they've got a lot of weapons. This team is doing way better than I thought they would be. So either way, 27-20, I like the Titans to win that game and cover that 2.5-point spread. We get no respect, huh? That's I think that's what Mike Vrabel's saying. He's doing his inner Rodney Dangerfield right now to the Tennessee Titans. Tennessee Titans players here. Okay. Man, I'm really surprised about this next one, folks. Kansas City playing at Minnesota. Now, if I was doing fantasy, this would be one I would want to really collaborate on. I would probably say go with Matson and definitely take Jefferson, maybe throw in a Jordan Addison. They're pretty good in the secondary, pretty good defensive coordinator for Kansas City. Don't got the greatest personnel in the world, but this is in Minnesota. And, Kansas City, Patrick Mahomes included, they were really frustrated for the way they played against the Jets here. Just didn't two turnovers by Patrick Mahomes. Of course, the Jets defense is really good. It's legit here. Minnesota does go on a road last week, and they beat the Carolina Panthers. And they're trying to get some momentum going. But it's only a 3.5-point game in favor of Kansas City. And I think Kansas City, you telling me they can't go to Minnesota and beat them by 4 points? So I think Patrick Mahomes, who's looking to break out. They haven't had that offensive breakout. I mean, do you want to count the Bears, a team that is on the it's lost 4? I think they'll lose 14. They've lost 13 straight. I don't know. I don't think so. This Minnesota defense, anywhere from 18 to the 20s, run, pass, and total yards. I feel like this is probably a Kansas City 31-23, going to be an exciting game, big plays and everything. But I think the Chiefs can really air raid this team out. If they can't do that, they can beat you on the ground. They got a slew of running backs: Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Pacheco, whatever his name is, McKinnon. I think McKinnon, Pickles, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm not, McKinnon used to play for Minnesota, Jarrett McKinnon. So he might catch one out of the backfield and score there too. They're wanting to practice on some new things. I feel like they'll probably tee off on Minnesota. Now, it will be in Minnesota. They'll get some pushback here. I haven't looked at the over and under, but I definitely like Kansas City to cover that just to win by 4. I think it's 31-23. Kansas City wins outright, and they cover that 4-point spread. Dun, 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 dun. Okay. Picks part 3. I did not think I was going to pick this game, but I started studying it. And sometimes you just got to go with your instinct on some of these games. And getting a feel for the Jets, Aaron Rodgers, he's saying that, listen, I'm going to be back. He said, I'm ahead of schedule. I'm going to be back in a few months. This could be before the postseason. Hang in there, guys. I can come in there. And I'm thinking the players are buying into this stuff. Zach Wilson, I mean, I like trashing him because he's a little immature, but he had the best game of his season. Getting rid of the ball quickly against Kansas City. No turnovers. Played pretty well last week in that loss. It was only a 3-point game. That defense still buying into Robert Saleh, playing pretty well. They play at Denver. Denver is the worst defense. Like I said, Denver just they let go of Randy Gregory. All right. They let go of this guy. I mean, these bad teams are letting people go. I mean, Chase Claypool, they're trying to trade him with the Bears or let him go. The Jets went up there last year and beat them like 16-9. And that was, Pickle says McKinnon was drafted He was drafted by Minnesota. Yeah, so he's wanting to stick it back to Minnesota in the back of his mind, Pickles. So, yeah, I think he probably will, going back to that game. Now, talk about the Jets here. The Jets are 2-point underdogs. I know Denver's got off the schneid, like, what's that guy's name? Chris, whatever. The guy that used to do the NFL stuff here, Chris Berman. He got off the schneid there. It's got a thing that said LeBron will not play in the preseason. Okay. Anyways, but that Jets defense, they're still very motivated, playing well. Denver's offense is terrible. I see a little chemistry developing there with Garrett Wilson and who's the Alan Lazard? I think he scored last week with this Jets team. By the way, Breece Hall, they took off his limitation on carries. That just happened to come out of the news today. And I thought, well, that little dude can run like the wind blows. And I think he had a really good game at Denver last year. So I think they're going to go up there and they're going to beat Denver. My guess is 23-19. They're going to win outright. They're 2-point underdogs. So I think they'll win outright 23-19. Jets get the W. That's number 4, okay? Let me get a sip of water here. Pickle says, yeah, payback. Talk about McKinney. I tell you, man, you get a guy going to his hometown or his former team he used to play for, if he gets a shot to stick it to him, he will, you know. I remember how Kirk Cousins acted when he first went back to Washington, and he beat them with Minnesota. He took it very personal. You like that. You like that. Remember that, Pickles? Remember who was saying that? Okay, Buffalo. Going back to what we talked about earlier. Okay, so Buffalo now got off the big win. They, did crap out of Miami. Von Miller practicing. He's flown over to London. He's excited about playing. He wants to play. I don't know how many snaps he's going to play, but I predict Buffalo will play Von Miller. Von Miller will play. Now, they did lose Tre'Davious White. I mentioned that before. But so Jacksonville, they beat Atlanta last week. We know that, in London. So they stay the week over. And also, they get back their left tackle. A lot of stuff happens at them first 4 games. Cam Robertson, who was suspended for PEDs, they're expecting him to play. They get their starting left tackle back. We talked about the skill players that they have ad nauseum. Calvin Ridley's, believe it or not. Christian Kirk, can you save me? Ingram there at tight end. Travis Etienne, but also Josh Allen, the other Josh Allen, the pass rusher from University of Kentucky, who really got the best of Buffalo Bills Josh Allen, folks, when they played back in 21. And guess what? Jacksonville beat them in a 9-6 game. Yeah, they beat Josh Allen and this Bills team 9-6. Bills really caught off guard by that, Did not see that coming. So they're going to play in London again this week. And I'll say this. I don't know if they'll win outright. Buffalo will. And maybe we'll predict that game tomorrow. I guess we will. I'll give you a full answer tomorrow. But I'll say this. Jacksonville is getting 5.5 points. 5.5 points against Buffalo. I think this game is going to be about a 3-point game either way. Jacksonville bounces back. They've already been to London. They're the most – I can't remember the last time Bill's been to London. I don't think they've been to London with this group per se. And I may be wrong there. But I think Jacksonville can keep it within that 5.5 point spread. So I'll take that 5.5. It's going to be a 3-point game either way, 3 to 4.5. Like that 5.5. Jacksonville plays well against the Bills, and they cover that spread. Pickle says Buffalo could fly into an upset there. Yeah. Yeah, and you know something, the Rams, that game is going to go over. That's a 4.5-point game. That I'm picking the over. I'm not picking the win. But if you really think about it, going back to Philadelphia and the Rams, you know, the Eagles have played really tight games, and they cannot get it put together. Part of me thinks Nick Sirianni almost wants to see the team lose so we can use it for a teaching moment. Better lose now than later, right? Don't lose in the playoffs. And I wouldn't be surprised, you know, if they just beat Philadelphia. I mean, you look at Sam Howell, what he did to the Eagles. We talked about Mac Jones being a thrower to her, right? Yeah, Pickle says, yeah. You know who was on that team in 2015? It wasn't Stephon Diggs. Josh Allen wasn't even drafted until 2018. So this is totally new for Buffalo. And Jacksonville's already been over there a week. So a lot of gamblers are jumping on that 5.5 points that Jacksonville's getting in that particular game. So, but now I do think that that's going to be one of the better games of the week. I know that 49ers and Cowboys. I tell you what, if Cowboys win that game, I'll try to get Jim Jeffcoat back on the program. I'm leaning 49ers, but just to preview that game tomorrow, I'll break it down. We'll give you a prediction there. But I did read today that Cowboys, the healthiest offensive line's been all year. Terrence Steele, Tyler Smith, Zach Martin, Badez or whatever his name is, the center, all practice fully. Of course, they've still got their, Stephon Diggs is out at corner, but Deebo Samuel might not play. So Brandon Ayuk's going to get his. You got to like Kyle Shanahan and the way he has played this team. They play pretty well. Brock Purdy undefeated, which, hey, everybody can lose, Ain't nobody going to go undefeated forever in football. Brady didn't go undefeated. So with the right game plan and the multiple use of all three, that would be my strategy. Don't try to put Dak in harm's way. You're going to have to possibly pass to set up the run, but don't pass and stay on the pass. Remember, Keelan Moore's out of the door. Now you got McCarthy calling things. I've liked the way McCarthy has, placed. I like the way he's coached every game this year. And contrary to what the national media narrative may say about McCarthy, the game they lost, they had 3 linemen out, folks. They had 3 linemen out, and that Arizona team, led by a veteran quarterback, kind of a journeyman, but played pretty well. They played really well that game. And they still had a chance to win that game with those 3 linemen out. But those guys will be back. That'll be a highly rated game. All that speed. Remember, Tony Pollard got hurt in the NFC Championship game last year. But all that speed at running back, I would use that and try to use it against that 49er team. And they've got some issues on the back end, too. I think that the Cowboys can take advantage of that. This is going to be a close game. It's right now, it's at 3.5 in favor of the 49ers. And it should be, So that's going to be a great game. Cannot wait to break that one down tomorrow. Cowboys, 49ers, Pickle says will be the game of the week. Yeah. So, again, just to recap here, folks, like I said, I like that Eagles, 49ers over 49.5. Titans straight up, 2.5-point favorites. I think they can win by 3 or more. I think they play well, 27-20. Kansas City, 3.5 at Minnesota. Maybe they go in there flat and overlook. I don't think so. I think they do cover that 3.5. I think they'll win 31-23. And where else did I put that final one there? And, of course, Buffalo I do not think that they're 5.5 points better than Jacksonville at the UK. And like Pickles just said, that is a 2015 Josh Allen. Nobody from Buffalo's been on that. Most of that team is gone now. So that's going to be an interesting. I'm wondering how Sean McDermott is handling the Buffalo trip to the UK. Dun, 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 dun. I don't even know what that's from. Every time I see something where it shows people going to the UK, I guess that's some kind of Queen's music or something, Pickles. And I'm not even talking about the rock band, you know. You see what I'm saying, Pickles? Dun, 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 dun. I don't know. I'm going to go eventually. Once everything, and I think everything with the COVID stuff is kind of calmed down, I'll give it a few more years. I'll check out the UK one of these days and go all through Europe and everything. But and eventually, like I said, eventually they're going to have a league over there. That may be 10 years from now, 15 years from now. But that's been the talks around ownership and whatnot. So I just hope they don't play the Super Bowl over there. That Super Bowl's too American. So anyways, folks, if you like the show, please share the show. That's how we get these views up, you know. Please share the show. Take a minute, share it to your social media, which YouTube, the podcast, which is on Spotify, Apple, and by the way, we are on NESSP channel, which is Northeast Streaming Sports on Roku TV. So you want to watch Sports Scope, 8 p.m. Eastern time, Monday through Friday. Tune in to that on which I'm here just about every day. If I'm not, I'll always play one of my excellent replays and interviews with some of the great guests here on Sports Scope. So have a good night, everybody. Again, tomorrow I'll be back with hopefully Carlos, Mad New Yorker, Chavez. We'll break down those games. We'll talk some college too. We'll definitely talk Oklahoma, Texas, and Texas A&M, Alabama. That's only a 3-point spread there, folks. That's a little tease for you. See you tomorrow, folks. Same time, same place here on Sports Scope.